Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the P.I.G podcast.
We're here live.
Finally! Jesus, finally!
Yeah.
Shit!
All these
That's
old
right.
ones. I still have this though. I didn't go to the barber to get this taken care of yet. We'll see.
And I'm just a little premature. I'm trying to catch up as well too. Just you're more masculine than me here. But it is something gray now. I'm getting a little gray here, man.
When it first came in, I got some gray here. I was like not expecting that. I was like, 10 years ago when I started cutting everything off, it didn't look like this. What did I do?
I like it though. But you know what? I can't get much longer than this because my wife hates it. So she's always like,
Shannon's always like, what is going on? I cut nothing, so this will like go in front of my mouth and I'll like make a smoothie and then the smoothie will be here and I won't know. And sometimes it drips and I'm like, oh, I can't wear that shirt. Time to change.
So that's why they do call it the flavor saver,
Yes.
right? The absolute flavor saver. Well, so excited to be back with you, Tobias. I miss you, man.
Yeah.
Miss you tons. And we thought it'd be fun to just remember. We've done this for a while. On the P.I.G podcast, it's not because we're pigs.
We're not pigs.
We're not pigs. We're far from pigs. Maybe a pig on the t-shirt, but we're not pigs. And but it stands for Platinum Investment Group, and I think it's something that Tobias is an amazing seasoned investor. I've got a few properties myself, and the reason why we do this is just to educate people, right?
Help people. It's been a great vessel for us for a lot of things, not just money, but growth and development and personal development and all these things. And it's just been so awesome to us. So we want to give back and try and help people do the same.
Yeah, totally.
And Brian's being modest. He's a very seasoned investor himself.
Maybe a little Cajun on there, or something like that. Seasoned. But yeah, you know what? And it's like just to echo what you're saying, I totally agree. And from the bottom of my heart, I know Tobias is such a genuine, honest, loving guy. And it's like to give something. It's almost like it's like if you have the cure for cancer, you want to tell people about it.
Definitely.
Right? And that, and I feel like in this life, there's a lot of trouble, anxiety, trouble with finances. But if you invest in real estate, it can cure some of those things because you've got resources and options. And that's what the P.I.G podcast is about. And so I hope you get something out of this. So what are we going to talk about today?
I think we talk about cottage rentals.
Oh,
it's a hot topic right now.
Cottage rentals.
Cottage rentals.
Yeah, so we're sitting here in summertime of 2021 and everybody wants to be at a cottage, right?
Everybody wants to be at a cottage, especially this weather.
Oh,
humid,
man.
hot, sticky.
Feels like a Costa Rican
weather.
jungle out there, doesn't it? My God. So you know what? This is great because we've had lots of clients that want to buy cottages, and I just bought one recently too, which I'm super pumped about. So I'm learning the ropes about renting it right now too.
Yes.
So let's talk about it. Is it a good time to buy a cottage right now? Do you think?
I think this goes back to like our core question: when's a good time to buy real estate?
Now.
Yesterday? Yeah. What's the next best time? Because that passed right away, right now.
Very true.
I think any time is a good time if you have a good plan in place.
I agree.
Yeah, especially cottages. That's a hot topic. That's something to get into right now. I think there's high demand. I think that's a big wave that's going to be going for a while.
I think so too. Like there's a lot of people, and I think in any part of the real estate market, people are saying there's a bubble that's going to burst, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing happens in the cottage market. I've read some articles that say the real estate market is, even though it's gone up 30%, on average across Canada, it's not going to continue in the cottage market. And people made bad decisions buying cottages. People I fled the city and want a cottage, and when they figure out it snows a lot up there in the winter time, they're going to want to move and sell it. What do you think about that? Do you think that market's going to plummet? Do you think people are going to wake up and be like, I hate my cottage. Why did I move up here? I'm going to sell it.
I don't think so. I think the cottages, I think a lot of people just didn't even realize. I think it was unknown to them. I think it's a new territory for a lot of people. They never thought, that sounds good. That's relaxing. My wife Shannon, she had zero interest in anything to do inside of Canada or Ontario for traveling.
And, give me the sun and the lawn chair and the book and
and we rented a cottage, and now she's like, this is actually amazing. She's like, this is awesome. So I think it's new territory for some people. So it's opened up that, and I think also in terms of plummeting, I think these cottages are well financed. We can probably talk about that, but those people aren't just going to say, we're going to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars on this, but we got to sell it, or we need to sell it, or we want to sell it, so we'll just take a huge hit. I don't think that people are going to make that decision. I think they would just continue to keep it and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think so. I tend to agree, right? You know, that's why I jumped in the market too, and I think that the market for that now, with people especially not traveling as much this year, patterns have changed. I think people likely aren't going to travel as much next year. I know some people will, and it'll gradually change. But now people have discovered it, similar to Shannon. I know my wife too. Like we last summer and this summer, like we had some great memories just sitting on the dock of the bay, like sitting on a dock.
Yeah.
We could have been sleeping in a tent or a mansion, but sitting on that dock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Jumping in the water, having some fun, has been priceless, right?
Totally.
And I think for people that have never discovered that before, they're gonna love it. And I think the thing too to remember is that if me and Tobias are wrong, which has never happened, ever, right? Never. Okay,
Just don't ask my mom.
disclaimer. Okay. But if we're wrong, and let's say real estate does plummet, real estate does crash, you only lock in your loss if you sell. I think another thing to realize that if the real estate market does go down in cottages, which again, I don't think it will, just rent it.
Just rent it.
Just rent it, right? Like the rental demand, because if real estate prices go down, just rent it out, because what is it like to rent a cottage right now? I just found out putting mine up, but it's
oh my gosh,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. So we don't own a cottage, so we're looking to rent, and there's very little vacancy available, and we got special case. We have pets, and we so to look for something that's pet friendly. Let that be a suggestion to everybody.
Make it pet friendly.
If you make it like pet friendly, you got responsible pet owners like me and Shannon that want to rent it, and we get very limited selection, so we'll definitely pay for something like that. So it's hard to come by rentals, and I think that's a new thing too. We were talking about off camera. Was it 08 Airbnb?
Yeah, 2008. I didn't know when Airbnb was, so we had a bet, and I think I lost. But 2008 is when Airbnb established, so 13 years. So, and we were talking about you when you had a cottage, your grandparents' cottage back when you were younger.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing to rent it. Like, you just didn't rent it.
It had never been rented, like 35 years. We had a good sized family, so it got well utilized. You know, my aunts and uncles, I got 5 aunts and uncles plus my dad, so the 6 families have kids, and my grandfather managed it for everybody, and we sort of had a family cottage that everybody would go to a couple times a year, but it was never rented, and it was, rather than being like an asset or an investment, it was liability for my grandfather, and so he did make the decision. It was a pain in his ass. Yeah. Oh, my holidays are only this week, and that, you know, Tom's got his 3 weeks there already, and so it was a pain for Grandpa. And he said, I'm going to sell this thing, and so it ended up being sold. But now, you know, that's a completely different thing. There's people who own cottages that they never go to, completely because it's an asset. So it's really, with technology and modern day and Airbnb and things like that, VRBO, it's really, I think, amped up rentals. People still rented cottages before, but just not to
I think it's become more of a market now than ever before. And I know, and you put it really, really simple. And I love how you put it earlier, because, like, you know, a cottage, you get really good income for a short period of time. Let's say it's even a 3-season, even if it's a 4-season cottage, chances are you're going to rent it out for more money in the summertime when the water's nice than you are in the winter, right?
Yeah.
But you put it so beautifully, equate a week to a month for rental income.
Totally.
Right? Totally. So, you know, I was looking at mine and renting it out for almost $4,000 a week. If that's $4,000 a month based on price, right? If you do that for 12 weeks, that would equate to 12 months.
12 months of rent.
Yeah, and it makes it really simple.
And it's pretty on par. Like, you know, we'll say like
it's not perfect.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
But pretty good.
You know, $800,000 or $900,000 cottage, probably like around $4,000 a week. Your $900,000 house, you're probably $3,500 to $4,000 a month in rent.
Yeah.
So it's very, very close.
Yeah,
these are Ontario local numbers. You know, obviously you got to look at wherever you're investing and you know, make sure that makes sense.
Well, and I think it's relative though, because like you end up taking
you gotta service the debt.
Yeah, and you take $1 million cottage, it might be $5,000, $1 million, a $2 million like I looked at one cottage. I just messaged someone on Instagram, and I was like, oh my god, that cottage is beautiful. How much is it to rent?
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous. It was like, we should do a pig podcast there, but it was $40,000 a week.
Whoa.
I was like, I'm not interested, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks. Just curious, but I'm just saying. Obviously, there's a market for it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
For that kind of stuff. That's I still have goals, so we'll get there one day. But the market is definitely there for it, and I think it's a great. Let me ask you this: do you think a cottage is a good first investment for someone?
Good first investment.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that probably. It's tough to get a house right now, so maybe, and I know we see a lot of people doing this where they end up, we see more people on mortgage applications today than ever before.
Yeah.
Right? So it used to be just Brian could buy a house. Well, no, now it's Brian and his wife and his brother on the mortgage. Or now it's Brian and his wife and his mom and his dad and his sister and his dog on the mortgage, right? Like it's, so that's one, it's like, is that a good first investment, do you think?
I do think in a lot of cases it is, because that cottage, like possibly if you're looking at that, you have a personal interest. Mm-hmm. If it's not rented that week, you go yourself, you go with your family, you go with friends. So it's a dual purpose, not like say a house that you buy as a investment. You buy investment property and it's not rented out that month. You're probably like, oh shoot, this is the worst thing ever. Right. I gotta paint it or I gotta go there and work. Where if it's cottage, you say, oh, it's not the end of the world.
I get too. Yeah.
We got a free week. We'll go there. So I think for that, it's really great. Like it's definitely a dual purpose investment or a multifaceted thing that you can slice a couple different ways. And I think in a financing perspective, you can tell me, but if you're getting a secondary home like a cottage, that there could be benefits for that.
Well, this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky, okay? I'll try not to get, but yeah, so pros, cons. Now, like you're saying, there is benefits to a cottage, depending on your financial situation. You can buy a cottage. I don't want to sound like a mortgage commercial. You can buy a cottage for 5% down, but the reality is that you're right. There's secondary home programs where, subject to qualifying, you can actually get a cottage with as little as 5% down.
Yeah.
Right, as a secondary home. However, if you don't qualify conventionally, like with a bank or something like that, it does get trickier. So it's kind of like if you're one of those clients that has great income, credit, everything's sort of really good, it's easy to get. Yeah. It's just like any other financing. If you've got a dog's breakfast as a mortgage application like me and Tobias, because we have so many properties, right? It's actually pretty hard because banks don't want to, if you don't qualify with a bank, and you start to go to that next level of lender where they might charge you 1 or 2 points higher, they don't like cottages as much.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they're not considered in the past as marketable. So the days on market would be longer.
Yes.
So, and they lend based on property. So a lot of them just said we only lend to major metropolitan areas. So it's kind of like if you're that client. So it all comes back to, I think, getting pre-approved.
Yes.
If you're going cottage shopping, get pre-approved. Now let me ask you, Tobias.
Yes.
And an unbiased opinion from my second favorite realtor, because my wife's a realtor, I gotta say, in case she's listening, okay?
Yes.
You are my favorite, I love you. Okay. But should you use your local realtor that you know and love to buy a cottage, or should you use a realtor in the neighborhood that you're looking to buy?
You should use your local realtor to get you someone that they know is going to take really good care of you in that area. Because I think that especially for cottages, the people in those areas have really specialized information. Because we were looking for a cottage, and we sort of seeked out the help of a realtor that we knew in the area, and the information that they gave me was stuff that I never even thought that you should think about. And I'll give a good example. We saw this great cottage on a lake, and we said, this is a beautiful spot, this cottage is awesome, the price is great. She said, that lake has blue algae blooming, which I had no idea what that was. But if you don't know about blue algae, it's a natural common thing, but it stinks. Apparently it smells so bad.
Can you imagine being in your dream cottage?
So we were looking in the wintertime. So you don't go there and say, oh, there's blue algae, or it smells like dead fish here. And she said that that's a blue algae bloom. It's well known to them because they're local and they know these things. But that kind of specialized knowledge is important when you go make a big decision like this.
Oh man, that's very important.
Yeah, especially if you're buying an off season, which I think is a lot of people sell their cottages in off season. So
well, if I had that, I'd probably sell my cottage in the off season too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and a lot of things like septic and well rules and all the sort of different local municipal rules, similar to like why you don't want to buy in Hamilton with a realtor really from Toronto. Like it's the same same premise as much.
I'm glad you said that.
As much as we want to help, it's definitely better to seek the expertise of somebody who knows what they're talking about. It's just like you wouldn't ask your doctor about I don't know, your teeth.
Or mortgage advice.
Your mortgage advice.
Or real estate, right?
You wouldn't ask your lawyer about your broken ankle.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's great. And you know what? It's funny because we had a realtor up north where we purchased around the Halliburton area there, and it was surprising how accommodating he was, and it was surprising how he said, Brian, you have no idea how many agents, and if you're one of these agents, I'm sorry, but this is his words. He said that come up here and don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's tough, and it's like to say, and I know we're talking big dollars, because a lot of cottages now can be 6, 7, $1 million, like a lot of money, and 2-3% on that is 20, 30 grand. But I would say on a property that size, it's not hard to make a $20, $30, $50,000 mistake or a $100,000 mistake.
Totally.
Right? So I think to your point, it's because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah.
Right? So that's cool.
And if you're a realtor listening, not knowing is not a good enough reason not to be in trouble. Because if you didn't know, the rules state you ought to know.
Yes.
Or you should know.
Well, you actually have a higher sense of responsibility. I can plead ignorance, right?
Yeah.
I'm just a dumb mortgage broker, right?
Yeah.
So you and the other side.
Yeah, ignorance is not bliss. If you hold a real estate license, you don't want to get yourself into doo-doo too.
Well, and I think realtors out there, just on that point too, is they're very, very accommodating in the sense because I know it probably happened with you, it happened with my wife as well too. They're happy to refer or send a fee for referral, right? Because they're just so grateful that that you actually appreciate their knowledge. Because so many people don't. So I think do the right thing. You're making a big investment. Go with the local expert, right? Like always go with the local expert.
Totally.
Right? Awesome.
Cool.
So
I think that covers a lot of it.
Yeah.
One thing. And maybe you don't know.
Maybe
at a certain threshold of your rental income, do you need to do HST or something? Is that something I heard before?
Ooh.
I want to say $30,000 a year or $35,000 a year.
So my understanding, I will preface this, and I am not a CPA, CGA, CA, DA,
Talk to your
DEA,
accountant, seek accountant, professional advice.
Thank you. Right. First, we'll say that, but my understanding is that comes down to commercial rent.
Okay.
So if you have commercial rent exceeding $30,000, then it becomes subject to HST.
Okay.
But if you have $30,000 commercial rent or less than, then you don't have to.
Okay.
I believe it's just on commercial, but on residential, it's not subject to.
So maybe if you own your cottage in a corporation, somebody might do that.
Yeah. So
Business Act. Yeah.
So you know what? So on that note, I under good advice, astute advice from my accountant, did purchase cottage in the corp.
Yep.
So yes, number one, that will count towards my commercial income.
Yes.
Right. But the other thing too, which is important, is because Brian doesn't own a cottage, if Brian uses it, Brian has to pay the company.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So, and I'll tell you, the Revenue Canada will look at your Facebook pictures, okay? If you're getting audited, they will look at your Instagram and say, okay, Brian, whose cottage was this that you were at?
Yes,
Did you pay rent for this cottage that your company owns?
Yes.
Yeah, I am not kidding. They will do that. So, so there are certain advantages to do it in a corp. Depends on what it is. Talk to your accountant. But make sure you pay something reasonable to that corp, because that is a tax loophole that I see many people take advantage of. It's a gray area. Do what your accountant says.
Yeah.
So, good question.
I just thought about it. I was like, I think this thing.
Yeah. Totally.
Cool.
Oh, cops are coming for you.
Oh, yeah.
Cops come. We better wrap this up.
Get out of here quick.
Cool. All right, guys.
We're filming.
Stay tuned for another episode, another day, another time on another topic.
Absolutely. And if you want to know about anything, hit us up. Message us.
Absolutely. Where can I find you?
Probably best Instagram.
Yeah?
At Team Smulders or at TR Smulders.
Cool.
You?
You know what? Hit me up at Brian Hogben on Instagram or at Mission 35 Mortgages on Instagram as well too. Or just Google Mission 35 and
Yes.
Google the email address that shows up.
Hopefully it's the right one.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah.
Brian Hogben. All right, guys. Make it a fabulous day.